I'm that girl who discovered through quantum sessions what is heaven and what is hell. Welcome back, my friends, to a conversation that you may have already been suspicious of, that there is truly no heaven and hell. But we love our labels, and we love to be able to qualify certain things to be able to either project fear or control onto people. And this is what's been happening throughout time, is being able to say those who are good get rewarded to heaven and those who are bad get sent straight to hell, no return. So whatever you have been indoctrinated into thinking as a child, and whatever has been impressed upon you, lots of my clients have also wanted to understand, is there a heaven, is there a hell, what is going on here? And as we know, when we have read Dolores Cannon's books about in between death and life, or is it in between life and death? I'm not too sure of the title right now off the top of my head, but it's fascinating as she explores with many of her clients also what happens when we die. We assume so many things from fear. We assume so many things from movies and from opinions of others, but it's not until we actually explore these things in quantum sessions that we get the undeniable truth. Because when you have an opinion of one thing, and then you have a session and you experience something that is so extraordinary, something you consciously have never been able to make up before, or even believed before, or experienced before with your consciousness, having these sessions are profound. And so when we take our clients through the full death process and ask when they've left their bodies what happens next, they have to then say what happens next. Sometimes they will go and be ghosts for a while and experience certain things that way until they're prepared to leave the property. Often they are so attached emotionally through society's labeling and positioning of them in their own lives with certain property, certain houses, certain life aspects. They're not ready to give it up. And so they stay in the ghost realm, which I've labeled and termed. So they are still feeling like they have their own bodies. They know they are not physical, but when they view themselves, they feel that they are themselves, except they're not physically able to do the things that they used to do with the physical body. So it's interesting to explore, I have to say, those clients who find themselves as a ghost, and it is always fascinating, these sessions, because we just don't know what happens to the soul. We learn in these sessions what happens to the soul when they're living, and then we get to hear when they leave their body, and then we get to hear what happens next. And so always they have an experience, regardless of however long they linger around being that ghost, when it is the most appropriate time for them, when they're ready and willing to go, they will then suddenly notice a very, very, very powerful, strong light. And they will be so comforted and reassured to go to the light that they will find themselves just naturally attracted and drawn there. And when they go through and follow that light, the light completely absorbs them. And then they will find themselves in a room, and there will be, often it's an oval size room, round room. They find it very hard to explain where they're in. They know that they are feeling incredibly safe. They often say things like, I'm home, I'm home, I'm home. And so they get very emotional about it in their journey, and they're just so relieved to be back. And so they're still sensing and believing that they still have their physical bodies, even though they know they're not physical anymore. But for them, they still feel very attached to the life they've just experienced. And so they are still representing that to themselves, because they're still holding on to that mindset that that's who they are still. And so with that meeting and with that experience in that room, they get to be slowly and gently reminded and reassured that they're amongst loved ones, their soul families, and they're very happy to be there and they're very safe to be there. And then eventually they get guided into a different room, and then they have their life review and they get to experience all the lessons, all of their different things that they wanted in this lifetime. They get to review it all. And this is no such thing as time in that realm. And so they get to journey through their life lessons and experiences and see it from a different perspective. And because they're back into a higher dimension, they get to see it from all aspects. They get to see their roles. They get to see other people's roles. And they get to remember who was playing that role and why did we have to endure that experience. All fascinating, all soul growing, and that is fantastic. And so what many people have been shocked to be, many people have been surprised to know is that when they go there to these rooms and they start exploring where they are in the afterlife, all they can explain, it's not another planet. It's a physical experience that they're having. The rooms are very physical. Everything is physical around them. There actually is physical beings around them, but the more that they get used to and acclimatize themselves to that higher frequency, and they stop trying to manifest their belief systems on their physical bodies, and they start getting more and more comfortable, they can actually merge into their full true physical forms. So it's extraordinary. We have covered this on many sessions, and it is quite mind-blowing for people, because when you can listen to other people's sessions, that's all fine, it's all great for them, but it's not until you have your own physical experience where you remember what home feels like, when you remember that you planned that other lifetime and you're about to plan another lifetime, and all of these spaces, every time you've finished a physical lifetime, you go back to that. And it is extraordinary. It is an extraordinary statement for me to say that we could say that heaven is a spaceship. It's strange, but it is the truth for many of my clients. And so it doesn't matter if you're good or bad, you will always go there. It's not possible for you to go anywhere else. So there is no false white light system. That is a disinformation that many people have believed from other influences to be able to stop people and to keep them in fear, to keep them held here at a density. So it's above the third dimension, but it's not advancing the soul. And so if you are trusting someone that you believe in to avoid the light, it's very interesting. And it's a very dark agenda narrative, all the times we have explored that in sessions. So it's all intriguing, big, bold conversations to have. And of course, I'm certainly not trying to tell anyone to change their belief systems if they have other idea about what heaven is. We're not trying to change your belief systems or convert you into anything, but it's just about sharing honestly what other people in sessions have experienced. And so it could be said easily that heaven and hell is here on earth, because that would be then defining your mindsets. If we want to have inner peace, that certainly is the feeling, and upliftment as heaven gives us great joy. And if we are wanting to hold on to victim mode, drama of density, judging others, all of those really silly density emotions, while they are valid, that can definitely make us view that life here is hellish, that people are hell, everything is hellish, everything's evil. And that's a really, really, really limited basic 3D perspective. And we've all kind of tricked ourselves into judging that things are like that. But that is a really, it's not an empowering mindset at all. And anyone that wants to label themselves as being spiritual should be able to have a bigger mindset than just labeling things hell or evil, because everything is purposeful. Everything is to teach us lessons. And there are people that are playing the dark agenda roles to be able to show us where we need to be push away from, where we have been shown not to follow one narrative, to speak our truth, to stand together, to find our communities, to stand up and empower each other, because this is not working. This has never worked for humanity. And it is time for us. They will never stop. They will never stop playing that role. They are there to be of service, to play that dark agenda role, for everyone to stop following influencers and leaders who have got a dark agenda. They would like you actually to stand up to them. When we've asked many times about the life purposes of certain influencers and leaders around the world, the subconscious has said, could you not see that they are to show you to resist, to rebel, to stand up against? Remember, that is the same life contract that Hitler had to awaken humanity. You were all supposed to, we were all supposed to, humanity was all supposed to see and stand up. He was supposed to awaken people. And I guess he awakened many to dark agendas, regardless of what you want to believe. And different collectives have different information about that man and the history back then. So it's all very interesting, but we must focus on now. We must see what we're doing today, what we're doing now to be of service. Are we still looping with the crimes against humanity, or are we trusting that regardless of what we do between here and the shift, here until our exit points in this life, this is great opportunities for growth, great opportunities for us to empower ourselves, great opportunity to empower others. We've already had enough time dipping into fear and worry and doubt and judgment and all of those lower things. It's definitely time to empower ourselves out of this and up and through and beyond. So if those people who are still focusing on just certain dates and they're only wanting to think about the dates, hate everything else, focus on all the details of all the drama and the 3D and just have one hope of a date, you're missing a huge range of experiences and of service to others and to yourselves. Extraordinary times. I promise you it is much easier to see things with the higher perspective and trusting your teams are there with you, trusting that all is well, trusting that fear is an indulgence that we have no luxury of time or affordability to spend any more energy on. So face your fears, be honest with yourselves, explore everything that is holding you back. Only you are holding you back if you remember that. Why? Why have you been doing so? We've all done it at some point. I'm certainly not judging. And I have acceptance of everyone's choices, but it is a really important time to empower ourselves, a really important time to empower others. And that is the truth of it all. And so there's no point debating it. It is basic. Love always wins. Love is the key. Having a higher frequency is profound. It is so rewarding. When we have a moment in that dipping of density, it feels so yucky, yucky. And we know that. We can celebrate our maturity. We can celebrate our growth. We can celebrate our own personal agenda to truly master this and get the most out of this. This can be definitely heaven on earth when we have the right approach, when we do the right choices to empower ourselves and to be able to be of profound service. So have your own session, question the shit out of anything I say, and have your subconscious tell you the truth. And then maybe that will encourage you more to step into your own empowerment. Okay, much love.